Thinking of investing, working, or starting a business in the cannabis industry? We've got you covered right here on Plant Problems. Hosted by Tony Frischknecht, Plant Problems takes a different approach to cannabis than what you're seeing and hearing from the mainstream media. Come along with Tony and be in the know about how to invest, work, or start a cannabis business. Let's get the show started with your host, Tony Frischknecht.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Plant Problems. I'm your host, Tony Frischknecht. If you guys are listening in on YouTube or also listening in on the podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you will receive alerts when we have new shows come out. This is very helpful because it allows us to bring you even more great information that's free. The more these platforms see your interest in the show, the more stuff that I can bring you. So please take a few seconds and do that for me. It'd be great. We'd really appreciate it here. Now, let's get to the show. Today, I'm going to bring you 4 tips when you are talking to a millionaire. Now, some of you guys are going to be out there looking for money or looking for investment in your cannabis company, or, some way to build and start, because like so many, even myself, I started with very little. I had to meet guys along the way, and these people were able to help me just get that leg up. And now that I have become a millionaire, and if you guys haven't heard my story, please check out if you go to tonyfrischknecht.com. That's TonyFrischknecht.com. You can check out my story there. But I virtually started with very small. I started out, I borrowed almost everything that I had. I had about 15,000 that I brought to the table that I put together slowly, but I had to borrow another 30 or so. And then as we got bigger, we had some investments that needed more money. So this is where I'm coming from and trying to share some of the information that I learned. And right now, this is what I look for when I'm talking to anybody about potentially investing in stuff that they're working on. So this stuff is what you should be thinking about when you're talking to somebody, especially a millionaire, about investing in you or your company. So number 1, be ready to have clarity on where you are going and the future of your company. What I mean by that is you don't want a long-winded explanation about what's happening all around you all the time. You just want to be quick and to the point. For instance, yes, we're going to be growing wholesale. We are going to sell to all the retail operations. That's our plan. Right now, we're growing, so much weight per month, and we plan to be growing double that in 6 months and double that in a year, just so that they get the understanding that this is what you are. I've run into there's so many mistakes where the business owner sounds confusing. Well, we're doing this, and then we're doing the grow, but we're also taking and then we're growing clones so that we can sell those. And it's not very directed, right? If you guys grow, then be growers. Okay. Talk about that. Don't add a bunch of stuff, because when you start hearing all these different things, you're like, this is what I think. These guys are not focused. They don't know where they're going. It's a bad idea to go this direction. Number 2, be conservative with your sales projections. I would say that 90% of the people you talk to in the industry have inflated expectations or goals. This is starting to change. Don't get me wrong. There are some companies that are changing this, and their expectations are realistic. The example I would have is say, you know what, we're going to take your $10, we're going to turn it into $20 over the next 2 years. And this is just a simple example. Not we're going to take your $10 and turn it into $1 million over 2 years. That's what I mean by inflation. You don't want to, you want to set these expectations a bit lower so that when you break through them, because you will, if you're working your tail off, you're going to break through them. You know the old saying, under promise, over deliver. That's what you want to do for an investor. That's how you're going to make him happy, because he's going to set that expectation in his mind. You're going to go through it and he's going to be like, you guys did it. This is awesome. Let's do it again. And he'll instill some confidence in you and your company and want to do more with you. And that's what you want. Whether or not you bring him along the next time is entirely up to you. Again, the biggest mistake most people make, overpromising. Don't brag about your company. Just paint a realistic picture for your investors. You can overpromote yourself and let your work speak for itself. So, like so many out there, they brag about themselves. And when it comes down to execution and actually completing a project or a goal, they never get there. You lose confidence from your investor. You must be fully committed to your business, to your partnership, if you have one, to your pay, to your finances. Let me walk you through those. To your business. The business comes first before anything. When making any of your decisions, you always need to look back, okay, what's best for the business? And I know this sounds simple, right? It's like, oh, well, of course that's what I'm going to forget. I'm not going to forget to do. I'm going to make sure that I am thinking always about the company, but it becomes a challenge in hard decisions, either putting the business forward or putting yourself. As investors come aboard, they will see this. And these next steps I'm going to show you will break that out a little bit better for you. Partnerships. You must trust one another and be on the same page. What I mean by that is communication is huge here. On a weekly basis, you guys should be having at least one meeting with your partnerships along with management. Each of these teams should be having a discussion on the direction that the company is going. You guys have to have what I call a true north, the same direction you're heading all the time. And everybody gets everybody on the same page. These investors will come around, they will see this, and they will go, oh, well, this is what the owner said. Now the partners are saying this, and the management is saying this, and you can see the employees saying this. So it's congruent all the way through the company. That builds some trust in what you're doing. Again, you're not just saying it, they're actually seeing it. Pay. If you are receiving a paycheck as an owner, the timing must be right. Not only must be right for the company to withstand that, but it also must be appropriate for that position. What I mean by that is you can't be running customer service, running a register, and paying yourself $60,000 a year. You may be the owner, however, that position requires much less. What I mean by that is you should be having somebody in place there that you're paying $12-15 an hour to run that register, not somebody that's a $60,000 employee. You tend to run across, especially newer companies, people that were in the traditional market or gray market and have transitioned up into an authority figure, a management figure, or CEO figure, and they're paying themselves $150,000. Investors don't like to see this. What they see is, oh, well, he's just paying him a fat salary and there's no there's little money coming to the bottom line because they're sucking it all out through paychecks, payroll, whatever you want to call it. So be very aware of this. And I know this is a tough position for most people to be in, because if they have started a retail outlet or a grow, um, most of the time they don't have any other income. Now, I would suggest you at least have something along the side to pay your bills until you're able to pay yourself through your company. But I think I know my very first pay, we gave ourselves, as owners, we gave ourselves a pay of $36,000 a year, which for a cannabis company, a lot of you out there are going to be like, wow, that doesn't seem like very much. Well, there was a couple partners, there was 4 of us, so that had a lot to do with it. But also, we couldn't drain the company dry. We kept reinvesting all the money that was coming in back into the company to grow it larger and faster. Finances. Have your personal finances in order. If you guys haven't read my book yet, From Black Market to the Man, I talk about this. I am a true believer in personal finances and knowing where you are at. It is probably one of the biggest things that 95% of us out there don't ever deal with and just put to the side. This is where everything falls into place at the end of the day, is your finances. If you don't know where you're at in your finances, and people can tell by either the way you talk, um, the people around you, if they can tell you're not good with your own personal finances and you're running this company that's bringing in multi-millions of dollars a year, you could have a big issue, because there's going to be some trust that needs to be gained between you and the multi-million dollar investor that's coming on board, and he sees that you're probably going to treat company money just like you do your personal money, and that's what you want to make sure you're very clear about to an investor. Number 4, be confident in your business and where you're headed, but don't be distracted by new opportunities. The shiny object syndrome happens to all entrepreneurs. This goes back again to the true north that we were talking about earlier. If you have this in place, you can ask these questions like, well, is this right for the company? Is this new opportunity going to get us to where we want to go, our true north? Is it going to align with that? Now, one thing I'll tell you is it takes courage to stay the course and stay in your lane. I remind myself of this every day when I'm doing any type of work or investing. Make sure you're providing your best in the position you work in. Remember that being the CEO is one of the most challenging positions in the company, and you may not be the best person for this position long term. This falls back to, what are your strong suits? What are you good at? Are you good at operations? Are you good with managing people? You need to stay close and understand your strengths and weaknesses. Now, you'll hear from different people, especially multimillionaires. They may say, well, you're the face of the company. You need to be the CEO. You just need to understand that it may not be you. So there's actually opportunities for you to grow into the CEO position if you are heading that way, but you need to play this on a case-by-case basis when you're talking to these money guys or multimillionaires, and understand that a little bit of transparency is good, but sometimes you can give a little bit too much information. So these conversations should be had over several different contacts. What I mean by several different meetings you have, so you can fill the other person out, because you're going to get an array of different people that are going to look at these a little bit different. You want to be that way. You don't want to scare them away, but you also want to let them know that you're being honest and upfront with them so that they know they can trust you. As you build your business, there are any time in the construction of the business, you're going to notice these type of people are going to come out. They're either going to see you opening a store on the side of the road. They're going to come up and, oh yeah, I want to get into this cannabis thing, yada, yada, yada. You have to remember that this is on everybody's mind now, especially with all the new states that have passed on a recreational side or adult use and medical just this last November. So the last thing I'm going to tell you is there's going to be a lot of people wanting to waste your time, right? And it's very easy to get caught up in the excitement of, oh, somebody's got some money and they're going to help me build my business. You got to take a look at this, I would say, pragmatically, to understand that there are a ton of looky-loos that are looking into what you do right now. And a lot of it, most of it comes because of the cash aspect, and they understand how much money can be made. So as a last note, please keep that in mind. So you don't spend days, weeks, months, even years with one person that has nothing. As you move forward, you're going to create a relationship. So don't burn your bridges. Just make sure you protect your time because it's the most valuable thing you have. Guys, thanks for joining once again today. It's been great being with you guys. I hope some of this information will be helpful to you. I know it was helpful for me. Even just spending the time creating this episode for you made me think more into the way I invest. So I hope some of that was transferred to you guys. Now, please push the subscribe button wherever you're listening at. We appreciate that. And also, feel free to check out this and all our episodes at plantproblem.com. And we will see you next week. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day.
You've just listened to another insightful episode of Plant Problems. If you like what you heard so far, don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues. For additional resources or to leave a review, head over to plantproblem.com. Join us again next week on Plant Problems with Tony Frischknecht. We look forward to having conversations with you as we go along this journey.